What I've got here is a full range cab with a 15-inch speaker, and we've got a small treble speaker there for the high frequencies. This guy here is a bass cab. That is a 15-inch speaker as well, and down the bottom there's another one. The only reason I have two is so you can see the front and the back of them. Now, these guys are known as powered speakers, and first of all, what do we mean by powered? Well, let's imagine you have your music sources, your iPod, maybe a CD player, maybe your vinyl turntable. From there, you'll go into some sort of mixer. And then out of that mixer, quite often a DJ will go into a power amplifier, and then from the power amplifier into non-powered speakers. Now, the difference with these guys is you don't need that external amplifier. All you have to do is go from your mixer straight into the speakers. That's it. Now, all right, good points and bad points about these speakers. These guys, I mean, I'm not going to say go and get them. What I will say is they're not for everybody, but they're fantastic for a certain amount of people out there. The reason being is, of course, logically, I mean, if, let's say, you're playing to thousands and thousands of people, one bass cab and one mid-top would possibly just about be monitors for you with reference to all the sound that you're going to get from all those people. But it's like anything. If you've got lots of them, the more you've got, the more sound pressure level you'll get, and the higher the volume. So in a sense, without meaning to contradict myself, you can use these for thousands and thousands of people, but you just probably need a lot of them. Right, that guy there is exactly the same as this guy. Like I said, it's a bass cab. Now, those particular speakers there are for the bass frequencies. Now, for example, if you listen to, say, drum and bass, if you imagine the bass sound, that's what you'll get from those guys down there. And if you imagine, let's say, the high frequencies, the patter-patter, the sort of the treble, the piano, the keyboard, the vocals, that's what you'll get from this guy here. Now, again, not meaning to contradict myself, this guy here, because it's known as full range, it will do the bass sounds as well. It will do the mid and the top. And what we can do with this, on the bottom, if I turn it upside down like that, you got a hole. Now, all right, what's it for? Don't worry, they haven't made a mistake and forgotten to fill it in. That is so you can stick this guy on a tripod, very simple. Now, also what they've done is, if you have a look there, don't know if you can see these guys. What I'll do is just bring the camera a little bit closer. I have got the wide angle lens on here as well. Now, if you can see there and there. Now, they're really, in a sense, just for monitoring purposes. So, if you put these on the floor, instead of scratching them, then that area will just lift the speaker slightly off the floor. So, they can be used as what's known as wedges or monitors for band purposes. So in other words, let's say if I turn it like so, we've got, heavy, we've got that speaker basically pointing up at a 45-degree angle, so it can be used for a monitor. Now, if I turn this guy around like so, what I'm going to do now, take the wide angle lens off, make it a little bit blurry. Let's have a look at the back of this sucker. Right, here we go. Let's put that there. Take that off, and there it is. Right, now you'll notice this metal thing here. Now that is the heat sink. Now what that will do, that will dissipate the heat from the amplifiers inside. We've got two amplifiers in here, one for the 15-inch speaker and one for the high frequency speaker at the top. Now, if we have a look at the bottom here, very simple, very straightforward. See this area here? It's best not to mess around with that, because that will be, theoretically, it should be set for the power supply for your country. On, off, a fuse, and that's your power in. Simple. It's not rocket science, trust me. We have output and input. Now, what we can do there, let's imagine we're going from our band mixer or our DJ mixer. What you can do, you go from your mixer directly into the input, and that's it. You'll notice there, full range and monitor. I'll explain about that in a second. I'll just give you a close-up so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, you'll also notice output. Now, let's imagine you've got 4 of these. What you can do then, you could have 2 either side. So you would go from your mixer into the input. All you need to do then is go from the output into the input of your other speaker. Now this guy here, gain, that's not dissimilar, let's say, to the volume control on your mixer, your band mixer, etc. Now monitor and full range. Now what happens here is, let's say for example you want to use just a set of these mid-top cabs and nothing else. You switch that to full range and you'll get a lot of the bass, the mid and the high frequencies. You'll get a complete spectrum of sound. But let's say you want to use it for a monitor. Click that up, and what you're actually doing is you're low cutting. In other words, we can see here 100 Hz, which is short for kilohertz. And I'm just going to go a little bit closer. Now what happens there, it will cut off any frequency below 100 kilohertz. So in a sense, what you're actually going to do, you are going to get a better quality of sound from this guy where the mid, the low mid and the high is concerned. Now if we have a look here, power, signal and limit. Basically all that means is when you turn this guy on, you'll have a little light there. It'll tell you I'm on, I'm working. What happens here is as soon as you start to put some sound in, you may start to see this light up or flash. Now the limit there, that red guy, is a bit like, let's say, traffic lights. When it's red, you stop. In other words, what's happening, when you start to see that flash, the amplifiers, an amplifier, or, well, I mean there's two there, but what's happening is they're starting to reach their limit. And the guy's saying, you know, just please hold back a little bit. I can take it, but just pull back a tiny bit. Right, if I just zoom out and put this guy down a little bit, what we'll do is we'll have a look at the bass cab. Very similar, but a few subtle differences. Now this guy here is your volume control, so we can turn this guy up or down. Now we've got here 35 Hz, and we have just underneath there 200 Hz. If I just put the camera like that, there you go, you can see it. Excuse me. Now what that basically means is I can, if I want to, I can have this guy just producing the very, very low, subtle bass sounds. Alternatively, as I increase this, I'm going to start to hear slightly more mid. Now here we have this thing called phase. Now if you imagine, let's say for example we have one speaker, let's say we've got this guy pushing outwards like that in the bass, dum, dum, dum. And we've got another speaker, dum, dum, and they're moving together, bang, 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 like that. In other words, they're pushing out at the same time. If I hit this guy, what will happen is as one pushes out, the other one's pushing the opposite direction, and you get what's known as a phasing sound. So if you accidentally hit that, and you've got two of these bass speakers, and you seem to think, do you know what, I'm not getting any bass. You can hear the sound, you can see the speakers moving, but you're not getting any bass. It could be because you accidentally pressed that. So just press it again, see what happens. Right, what have we got? We've got we've got input here, and we've got output there, but also we've got another output. Now this guy here, through, what this will do, this will basically take the exact input you put into here, out of here, into your other cabs. This guy here is high pass. Now what happens, it will cut out a lot of the bass frequencies. So in other words, what happens with this guy here, you go out of here into your mid-top cab, taking away some of the bass frequencies. Now this guy here is exactly the same as that guy up there. This will get hot. So if all of a sudden you're using this quite a bit and you excuse me, and you think, you know what, this is getting really hot, is there something wrong with this speaker? No, not at all. It's supposed to get warm, it's supposed to get hot, because it's getting rid of the heat from the amplifier inside. And then if we have a look at the front of it, you can see there's the bass cab, and if you can see that dark area down there, that's known as a port. What happens there, that lets some of the bass frequencies move out. All right, so there you go. A little insight into these guys from a company called Gemini. This guy here is the GVX Sub 15P, and if we have a look here, we have GVX 15P as well. All right, if you want any more information on these guys, then check out the link in the description. It will give you a whole bunch more. Thanks a lot, practice and enjoy.